Chris Swanson, Life in the Spreadsheets. Life in the Spreadsheets, Chris Swanson.
We live in a dark and gritty world, and that's especially true where I work. A place where the dark is so dark, it's like being in a room with the lights turned out. And where the grit is so gritty that when it gets under your fingernails, it's impossible to get out, even with a really good manicure. I work in the accounting department. A place where a single mistyped number on a 10 keypad can send a company spiraling into financial ruin. And this is my day. I arrive at the office, and my boss, the chief, he's already there waiting for me. The chief looks worried, like the red-shirted security guard in Star Trek, about to go on his first routine mission. So I walk up and ask, "Chief, what's going on?" And the chief tells me to stop calling him chief. And then he tells me that the head honchos back in Japan are all over his case about our construction and process numbers. Seems they're looking to make a big transfer to fixed assets ahead of the first quarter so they can restate their earnings. And the new numbers need to be entered into the system by noon today. Now, the laws of mere mortal men don't apply to the accountant. To us, reality is like silly putty, something to be shaped and molded in our hands. But there's one law that's involatile, even to the accountant. When the head honchos give you a deadline, you meet it. So I tell the chief not to worry. I'll get right on it. And the chief tells me to get right on it. And to stop calling him chief. So I head to my computer and I pull up my construction and process spreadsheets. And I stare at the nice, neat rows and columns laid out like a grid, like a chessboard. And I'm about to get checkmated. Because as I look at my totals for the month, I know they're just not big enough. So I send out an email to the supervisors and the managers to find out if there's any new equipment that's gone into service this month that I can post fixed assets. And then I start working away. The answers start coming back in, and of course, supervisors don't know anything. I keep forgetting. You just can't count on them for good information. Fortunately, I have contacts. I get up from my desk and I head back to the factory to meet up with Johnny. Johnny's a leg man, grease monkey, maintenance tech. He's been with the company dang near forever, and he's had his hands on every single piece of equipment that's come in the door and knows everything that's going down. If it's happening, then Johnny knows. If it's not happening, then Johnny knows nothing. I arrive back at the maintenance department, and Johnny turns to say hello. His uniform's all covered with grease and oil like, no, that one's inappropriate for mixed company. Now Johnny and me, we go way back, and he owes me a big favor. Last week I lent him $1 so he could get a soda out of the vending machine. So I asked Johnny, is there any new gear that's been installed this month that I need to know about? And Johnny looks me straight in the eye, and he gives me a nod in that way that only Johnny can. Up and down. He then proceeds to spill his guts about what's been happening this month. And I stand there, soaking up the knowledge, like a forgotten sponge at the bottom of the sink after you get done with the dishes. And finally, when Johnny gets all done, I thank him for his time, and I remind him that he still owes me. It was a really fizzy soda. Armed with the new knowledge, I head back to my desk, and I pull up my spreadsheet, and I start adding in the new equipment. My fingers tap away on the Ken key pad, like Lou Reed and Willie Bryant tapping the shim sham shimmy across the vaudeville stage in the 1930s. How's that for an obscure reference? Wikipedia, friend to the gritty metaphor everywhere. And finally, when it feels like my fingers are just about to fall off, I have a total that's big enough to satisfy the chief and the head honchos back in Japan. So I post my journal entries, and I update my spreadsheets, and I email the results to the chief with 5 minutes to spare. The chief emails me back. He says, "Thanks, good work, and stop calling me chief." My stomach starts rumbling, and it's time to go to lunch to reward myself for a good morning's work. Because I know when I get back, there'll be a whole new set of problems facing me down. Freight costs to analyze, payables accounts to update. But I'll be ready for it. Because that's what I do. Because that's life in the spreadsheets.